soon as my iPhone says it. Reading. Snow, I mean, I think e-farms.
It's just not farm.
Yeah, it's just not fun.
It's a transitional day.
Yeah.
Alright, okay, so we're gonna start the community development committee meeting for Thursday, March 6th. I am Matthew Powers and I'm on the committee. Oh, sorry, I was in and in attendance, I'm gonna have everybody introduce themselves and we'll just go counterclockwise.
Linda Shane, town manager. Mitch Sherman, assistant town.
Nancy Frisk, Orono community member.
I've already introduced myself. We've got
I'm Dan DeBarrett, town councilor.
Andrea Anderson.
all right, so we are going to move right into our discussion of items assigned to the committee. And the first one we're gonna get done with so that you can move on is review a special area management plan, the SAMP, and a potential collaboration project with the OEDC and Jeff Gordon, which is in progress. Could you let us know about yourself and update you and share?
I'm one of the 4 new members. I think we have 4 members and 2 consultants on the OECD. And if I get this in the right order, so OEDC. Jeff was going to be here today. One of the things we wanted to report on is that there was a budget being prepared for the council. So he wants the council to be aware that you will have a budget for projects for the OEDC. He's working with James Garrett and with David Pickering on that. And they will be meeting when he gets back next week. So there's something. And the other reason for coming is to just say hello and be represented here. So one of the missions of the committee now is to attend meetings so that we can be better. That's one of our charges.
Thank you. All right,
Thank you.
would you like to introduce yourself? We have a new.
Sure. Honor to be here. I was told about this meeting, community dinner, and just wanted to engage with a few ideas about how to make the town a friendly place for people to come visit, for business. I grew up here, my name's Zach Cuttery, and then spent 30 years traveling around the world and lived in cities like San Francisco and Boston and New York, and saw a lot of cities and towns that have a lot of things to offer in the way of encouraging people to come into the town, and just wanted to share some of those ideas.
We will have a public comment or at the end of our items, and I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Right.
Is there anything more we want to talk about with the OEDC?
I don't think so. I mean, the budget was in the, kind of the most pressing thing and kind of the pitch to the town and, where it goes from there. I don't know if staff had anything else they wanted to ask about or. No?
Right?
Jeff's working on a couple of grants and I'm not informed enough to be able to share on that, but Jeff well, he's in charge.
Great.
And I'm going to stay for a minute because I want to hear about the Route 2 corridor.
All right. Next on our agenda item is holiday tree lighting and menorah with opportunities for other cultural involvement. We had an introductory discussion on this last meeting, and we'd like to. I think there's broad support for having this happen, and I guess what I'd like to suggest is that we maybe ask how much work effort the town, how much would be doing this from the town council side of things, and then maybe a proposed, like, schedule going forward, with like, something like set by a certain amount of time, so that we can get maybe the choir, the rural people involved, although they've been involved with what we have now, and are we adding on to the two?
I mean, the last time we had this conversation, I think we talked about the fact that we are engaged in the trail of light. We've been working a little bit with the UCU, which is kind of every year got a little bit more involved. They're the ones that grab a tree in front of their business. In the past, we've had Festival of Lights, which was a combination of different people in the community getting together and different pieces of the puzzle. I think for us, we've talked about growing kind of a little bit that event in some way and how that looks. We haven't really fleshed that out, but I think what we recognize about the Trail of Lights is when we used to do it on one night, it was one night, and if you could make it, you made it, and if you didn't, you didn't. The Trail of Lights has been great because you can kind of fit it in your schedule. It's a month-long thing, and so supporting that allows more people to be able to enjoy it. The other piece was when we were doing those events, we're really fitting them around when it was slow. Because when we stopped doing that, which was pre-COVID, just before COVID, things are different. It's a different landscape around our businesses on evenings and weekends and things like that. So we'd always try to work with bringing something to have it happen at a time in which it would benefit our businesses because it brought people in on a night that was slow. That was typically Mondays at that point. I don't know if there are too many restaurants that are open on Mondays anymore downtown. So I think we'd have to look at some of these things and how you want to do it, or whether it's special nights throughout the month that we're doing this, that we do something and engage different groups to be able to take that over. I think one of the questions that we really want council to answer is how engaged you want the town staff with different types of, typically we have stayed non-denominational in that, at least for the last, and work with people that want to have a trigger, or want to have want to have those different things.
I
So
think when I first thought of it, it was more like if we did like the first Friday or Saturday or Sunday in the month of December. And money's tight for everybody, especially town too.
Yeah.
Look at donations of donate a tree, donate lights. If you're a group that wants representation in wherever this location is, if we did have a point of contact for them to say, we want to be involved, here's what we propose to provide for our symbol. If that's the right word. And then we just build from there and hopefully have the businesses also, decorate their windows, lights, maybe lights in town, and maybe even get residents along Main Street to participate with lighting their windows or lighting their yards. As far as resources and who would do what, I think that's where I would need guidance too in advertising, coordinating, picking a location,
I mean, anything can be done. I want to start there. Obviously, anything can be done. I think it's really gonna come down to what, typically this would be probably in our structure dealt with through the Parks and Rec department, which we know are pretty stretched thin. So trying to figure out how to do that, or either partner with somebody that's going to be able to manage this in a way that makes sense. And I think understanding the idea might be helpful, or are you asking, I think I don't say question, are you asking staff to come up with an idea of how we could start to integrate these types of things into what we do, or is this a piece of what we do, but it's separate and council has an idea or community has an idea of what that looks like? I think those are, we would be able to better kind of.
I feel like it's not part of the work plan.
No.
I feel like it's an interesting kind of community initiative and idea that the town, the council could be supportive of. I don't know what specifically what the ask is and what if there's a group coming together that wants to do it, or if it's just kind of a question, how come this fizzled in, in the past? So I think we've gotta, if someone wants to come forward and kind of provide some leadership and energy for it, I think that's great. I think it could be a lot. I think the town already supports the lighting and things and the trail.
But I would say there's probably room within what is being done if there is somebody that
Right.
said, hey, I wish that we could do this on one of the nights during that period of time.
Right.
I suspect once we get done with the Orono Festival days, we're gonna be kind of tapped out in terms of our summer and fall planning, our spring, summer and fall planning. Kind of coordination.
I would also not this year, I don't think, I'd also support, well, that's because I've seen these before, a Christmas. Big market, sort of like they do in some parts of the US and in Europe. And where you could do it, we could do it inside because it would go right along with the lighting. But it would have to be buy-in with the business because we want to have them selling stuff at the Christmas market. And if there's no buy-in, I wouldn't want to do it, but definitely I don't think. I could see that being really popular, where you could even have some food trucks and stuff, even though it's in the winter out, you see the parking lot and then people could just walk. There used to be stairs there, they're probably not functional anymore, but you could walk right down. Down to the path, or you could walk it down this and then see the path of lights, then come back and be at this market one Saturday. I can see that, and then we could throw in the Christmas tree lighting at that time and the menorah, but I also am totally with you. That's a little much this year, trying to start the Orono Festival, because I think it's good.
The only thing that kind of currently, because UC does their own thing.
Yeah. And I think that's
We
great.
did have a discussion about next year attending the tree cutting and putting it on our Facebook, putting it on our social media. Because that's kind of a cool event. They go out there, they pick it, they cut it, it's kind of neat, it kicks it off, and then they come set it up. Then we do the town version of the trail lights.
Right.
I mean, if it's as simple as a first step, you wanna buy a menorah to put somewhere on display, I don't think anybody's gonna have an issue with that. And I think there's more cultural diversity in future years, but if it's as simple as those things, that's what the kids are getting at. There's some stuff that's happening that wouldn't take any
Too much
resources,
stuff like
except
that.
for the money to buy a menorah.
But if it is a bigger,
We had one
Yeah, somebody said something about that, they got kind of
beat up.
bored.
it was in poor shape when I started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
And we
don't
more
do that.
jobs,
Yeah, I think that would be a great first step. We
I
incorporate
mean, if you're okay with
menorah.
that, I mean, that's something we'll just work, we're used to you, I know, we'll probably say.
We can, like I said, not that you don't already, the Trail of Lights is a pretty heavy lift.
It is.
And it is in a very tight window from the
Yeah.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Trunk or treat. You really you're cramming it in a month.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty heavy lift, especially because we also help Tony.
Yeah.
As much as we can.
Yeah,
and work through it. So that
It's
itself is a
spectacular.
pretty heavy lift.
Yeah.
But I think there are opportunities there. We have space that you can put stuff along the trail, and if we were to offer that, or we have something, or there's recommendations from the council.
So maybe we give the Tony, put that down there.
Right, I mean,
There's a
we
bunch
can
of
do
different
that, that's not impossible.
Yeah.
Adding a menorah or adding something that somebody's interested in, that's not.
Yeah, we're open to anybody else, who knows, somebody might even donate menorah.
Yeah.
And I think I just started with what did we do? Maybe we could return to that, and then from there,
Right.
interest could grow and there could be more ideas added, but.
I like ideas are cheap, execution is expensive, so. I mean, I love the idea of a Christmas market, but I also think that I love the idea more if we could get businesses we just provide a space and the businesses do it. That would be my idea.
So is there, So it feels like if we're gonna report back, this was referred to us,
Yeah.
right? So if we're gonna report back, is the report back, I'm looking at Clinton, and Mitch, the report back. We'll make sure we integrate kind of the tree cutting and lighting on the town's Facebook, and then we'll make sure that we balance the holiday with a purchase of menorah that we display somewhere. In the village, you know, somewhere it's kind of like a balance to the Christmas tree, that
I
it can
think
make
that's a
us.
small reserve that, I'll have to look at the
Yeah.
reserve list, but it'll probably do it through the capital plan, I'll add it in before we present.
Yeah.
I think we could get a quick couple estimates through some companies that make them for municipal uses, you want, you
Yeah.
don't wanna buy, you don't wanna go to Lowe's and pick one up.
Yeah.
What I would say, not against Lowe's, but that's for residential use.
Yeah,
yeah.
Not meant to last much more than
Yeah,
a
we
year or two.
limit it.
Yeah.
did
So we can
get-
look at that. And I think maybe Dan just add in there that it's not, it's the social, with community engagement, you know. We're gonna be trying to do more.
Yeah.
So that there will be expanded community engagement opportunities through the holiday season.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe we do a
Yep.
Kwanzaa video or something, announcement, and those are things that are within the normal duties.
Yeah, and I'm agnostic as to where me personally, I'm agnostic as to where we put it this year, but if there's feedback, if UCU wants to have it also as part of it, I'm totally fair with that. If not, we wanna put it down on the
Black
trail
and
of
white.
lights, I think.
Yeah,
that's great.
I think being open, you know, we can come back and say, this is our plan, is this, you know, is this.
You might put it out here,
Right.
Yeah.
bring that one further along.
And I'm also, open to input from Jewish community members who may want to make a bigger deal if they want to, and I would be supportive of that.
And that might be something we can put up on social
Yeah.
media, that if there's
Yeah,
people interested to share ideas.
Okay,
We can do that.
alright, so that's,
Yeah.
that's a plan for that, are we okay,
Yep.
report back with that
Yes.
in terms of enough for the other side? Alright,
Alright, moving on. So community involvement in Route 2 corridor safety metrics. Right now, we have a meeting, I've had input from a number of residents. Just in the last month since this was told, and I can say what I heard, and then, but, I think our discussion is how are we going to get this right? More metrics, how are we going to discuss it?
yeah, I feel like it's both. Discussing, you know, the metrics, you know, establishing some metrics that we can use to assess how we're doing. We have, as a council, have committed to this Orono Stops initiative. And it's largely Route 2 is a you know, the major corridor running through the community. And I don't know how we hear a lot of anecdotes
Right.
about, you know, someone to cut me off or someone stopped for me it's dangerous to cross, but we don't have anything to add to the conversation. We've articulated some goals in terms of Orono stops, but we haven't thought about how we're gonna assess the work that we're doing and report back to the community on the progress we're making. So I think,
Yeah.
for me, it makes sense for us to establish some way to measure how the town's doing when it comes to and I think it's more than I think it's safety metrics, I think it's, you know, the impact of the social media or, you know, communication campaign, like the things that we're doing, because that's a big component of it. And I also think, you know, report on the investments we're making in infrastructure. So I'd like to be able to say, when we close out this municipal year and report back to the community on what we did, I'd like to be able to say, to take like the stuff that Chief Merrill reported to us, you know, have sort of something that encapsulates efforts along Route 2 for the year. I'd like to have something that says, hey, we put the blinky lights up at Westwood, and we made this change at the we worked with the property owner to remove the fencing that was a visual hazard or visual impingement,
Down by the bridge.
down at the bridge. And we
We
had,
bought a line painter, which I think is really important because the lines are already disappointing.
Yep.
So we.
so I think, and then I think we wanna have, I'd wanna be able to, I'd like it to be like a 1 or, you know, a 2-page report back to the community on what we did. We gotta think about how we assess the, we've got the data, we've got the signs. And I think we all agree that, that the signs don't tell us. Sometimes cars are like bumper to bumper locked down, other times, I think we're interested in, what are the outlier speeds as opposed to just the average speeds? And we know you can't be there all the time to get the car that's going 50 miles an hour, but every once in a while you see someone going 45 or 50, and I'd like to get a sense of what we report back, have a baseline of what traffic is now and what we're finding over time.
And I'm also unclear as to, and I don't think Chief Merrill knows either what. So when a car comes over the hill, I would literally, 300 feet from the sign at the bottom of the hill. So when a car comes over that hill, you can look at the sign, you can just look there, and it's 40, 45 miles an hour that they're coming over the hill, and they've been going 40, 45 miles, I'm assuming, since Kelly Road. They come down, and by the time they hit the sign, which is great, that's why we have the sign there, they're down to 30, some of them, right? So I don't know, does the sign average the speed over that amount of time, or does it just say this is the first speed, or does it say this is the last speed? We saw, like, what happens for me over that period of time that car is slowing down. When I get a point that says a car went this speed, is it talking about the top speed, the bottom speed, or an average in between? Because I think that that's an interesting thought, especially for everybody who lives above the hill. Because everybody, the other side of the hill, this car has been going 45 miles an hour up until they see the sign flashing red. And so that's I'm glad we have the sign, and in a lot of ways, I do see people slowing down, although not everybody. But I also know that depending on how the sign reads the data, I don't know what it's actually giving me.
Yeah.
If I see a point. And so if I knew it was giving me the average speed over that time, it's gonna be a little bit different than if it's giving me the top speed, and then understanding that the top speed has just been, 1/10 of a mile, they've been going top speed down Route 2. That's an interesting thought experiment. Okay.
I thought one of the most impactful reports I've seen, in a community on speed was done by the neighbors on Fourth Avenue that Sean Smith did. And I would love to ask Sean.
I would sit down, my kids would mind sit down.
No, they don't need to set the rate, we have the tools, technology.
But there's a difference, they are seeing it, so I can report what the top speed is,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know what the sign is giving me.
Oh, true enough, but I mean, in terms of like
Right.
enough data, so you have.
Is the sign movable?
Yeah, it
Is
is,
it?
It is, what's the goal? You gotta tell us the goal, because the sign's where it's at.
right,
It sees someone coming in at 45,
right, so this would be.
and they're
right,
doing 25
right,
by the time they hit the sign.
Right, and that's
Has
great.
that not achieved the goal, or is it?
Yes,
It has, okay.
to some extent, it just depends though, right? And it depends on. What I would like to see, though, so for me, the goal is over time period, right? So if we see the summer average. All right, what I'd like to see is the summer average car speed be replicated in the fall, or the fall and the summer, depending on which one's slower. The reason being is we get this turnover of cars coming in, and then we also have an uptick of police activity that happens usually when cars come in. And so whichever one, I'd like to get the average down to like 30, 31. That would be a goal for me on
Yeah.
Main Street.
I think having this, the sign, I think there's two goals to the sign. Having the sign there helps as a traffic calming measure in and of itself.
Yeah.
You see people, it absolutely changes behavior as people come down over the hill, and particularly if it's blinking, it does the blinking
Right.
lights when
Yeah.
people are really going, coming in hot. But I think, so there's that, but it doesn't tell us what speeds are, and how they're changing over time as we invest in infrastructure as we invest in our education campaign, as we invest in infrastructure and enforcement initiatives. We don't have any way to measure it in any way that's quantifiable. It's all qualitative. It's, so I'm thinking, what can we do? And we haven't gone back to do Forest Avenue again, and since the speed bumps went in. But that's the kind of thing like, that's a high performing organization. And which, I think it's a high performing organization where you invest something, you track it, you see how you did. And I wonder, that's kind of my thinking in terms of what we could do there. And if it's 40, if the average speed is 37. Then we have a conversation, we try, it's made progress, we used to be 39, now it's 37, well, 37 is still too darn fast. But again, I don't think it's the average, I think I'm more concerned with some of those outlier. And the stuff that Sean did, and I can send it back to you. But the stuff that he did had the outliers and the tails, and the tails are where the real danger is. It's the person that's going 48 miles an hour coming down the hill, where we already know there's really no bike lane. And then there's a truck, someone's mowing somebody's lawn, so that, there's no room at all. So those are the kinds of, that's the concern that I have. It's not the, I don't really care about the average, because I think we're going, maybe I do care, but I don't know enough to know if I care about the average, but my instinct is, it's the outliers, it's that high rate, the number of cars that are going above 40 miles an hour, that's the real danger, because if you have.
Are we getting a decrease in
Yeah,
that?
That's the number that I wanna bring down. Because there's a lot of time cars are stalled there.
And
Yeah.
you want that number to go down where that sign is.
Well, I don't know, I honestly don't know.
I guess that's the question,
this is-
right?
yeah,
There are
so-
ways to do that, I
Right,
think
right,
that's
so-
part of this challenge, right?
Right.
Lots of ways to do,
Right.
I mean, to accomplish that and also to get data, so.
So I think,
we gotta get the speed limit down. Where's it switched?
So it's right at the
right,
bottom of
Ledbetter.
Ledbetter.
Yeah. So
That's why it's where it's at. It's the distance relative to where the last speed limit was, why they brought it.
And we put a post up just before Ledbetter too.
So the idea
Yeah.
by putting that post up was to see track, what are
Yeah.
people actually driving
Yeah.
as they come into town. Now, the reality is, I'm trying to think how many signs we have, because you take one away from someplace else, people,
Right,
but if you had both, what do you see?
right.
Are you seeing a decrease here when you put that one there because people now are going, oh gosh, I gotta go 45, great spot, and then I'm paying attention?
Yeah.
Or
I
don't
know
care,
why-
right?
I don't know
Well,
why.
you gotta be a little,
Yeah.
there's a lot of what ifs, there's a lot of potential,
Right.
but again, you also gotta be careful, get them slowed down through the hard.
Yeah.
And then they get to the other side of the bridge and they said, okay, now I'm free, and they start getting down.
Yeah.
Because we over concentrate on a single area, you know what I mean? It's the corridor issue, right, we gotta kinda
Yeah.
think about it, and there's different speed limits and, this is a school zone.
It makes
You know,
sense.
we should be
to-
really focused on, those times, people coming in at 45, about to hit a 15. That's a problem, right?
It makes sense where it is because, I was happy that whoever decided that it would be there was there because we're coming into the Westwood. And the most important thing is to slow down because there's kids crossing the road there. And so I think maybe that was taken into account. I don't know who took it into account, but I think that's a great place to have it. Because we do want it to slow down before we hit that Westwood crossing where the kids are. Me personally, because we have it and because we can collect the data, I would be interested in knowing if when we have a bump up in policing, like, I don't know if we do that, or if we have like, okay, now we wanna have extra, speed pulling over. Where
course, yeah,
they're enforcement, where they're pulling more people over, if we have a drive and we say 3 weeks, we're gonna have this drive 3 weeks, we have all the data before that, the whatever, 6 months before the last drive, we can take that, compile that data, and then we can look at, does it slow the speed down and for how long afterwards, right? Does it slow the speed down for 1 month?
Yeah.
Does it, so that's how I would use it, and that's would say, okay, our enforcement, it does work and it works for this amount of time, we need to know that, so that when the kids are coming or going, that we know when is the best time to start this out. Does it have an effect? And then if it's not really having an effect, maybe we need to go to the level 2 and get more bumps on Route 2, that kind of thing, to make it harder to
I'm
go.
not gonna get speak about that.
Well, containing the conversation a little bit to what's reasonable.
Yeah.
We have 42 miles of roads.
Yeah.
We can't do this level of enforcement everywhere,
Nope.
we start at one, there may be, okay, well, I want it.
Right.
Route 2 is obviously the conversation today.
Yeah.
I would say probably 2 or 3 corridors are what's relevant to really focus on for a certain time, start developing a plan.
Yeah.
Would you like to see this expand to a couple key corridors, 3-ish? And say we're, 4 staff, I think it's already kind of queued up for you.
Yeah.
So I don't think you finished the 4 staff conversation, you started it, but you're now at a,
I agree.
Level to finish
This is
it.
when we need to look at it.
yeah, so staff, I mean, and we're trying to frame the conversation, well, we just gotta get you the data. I won't bury you, but I'm quite certain we can pull quite a bit.
Yeah,
And whether it's relevant or not, we'll bring you what we've got, and you don't like it, or take that rephrase. If you don't think it's relevant to the conversation of the metrics, we can say, okay, we don't need to look at that.
yeah,
The number of vehicles that go through may not be relevant, we can get you
I
the
think
traffic count really easily, so what if we grab that? Are we, and again, I'm gonna totally lead you. So I'm not gonna agree with you, there's probably 4 staff, Route 2,
And then,
and the Stillwater hotspot conversation that just popped up, right?
yeah,
Are those the 3 priorities right now?
I think so.
Now, so just so we're clear here, somebody can come in and say, hey, we're upset about
College,
some other street.
yeah,
Thank you, we're focusing on these 3, build a mechanism to how we deal with them.
Yeah.
And if once we get through these and we got time, we'll kind of focus on College Ave as well, but I just don't wanna.
Yeah.
I think that's here with the council recently, so sky's the limit on the budget,
so,
we can deliver any outcome we
Right, right,
want, we're gonna have 20 cops
Right.
on all day long, every day.
yeah,
And no one's gonna speed here at all, and we'll have a 0 tolerance policy and.
we just have to pay for it. We just have to pay for it.
Taxpayers all
I think-
wanna move out.
What I like about this right now is we have a perfect opportunity to see something that was a physical barrier that was put onto Forest and see the measurable decrease between before we had that to now. We also have data now going back for almost a year on Main Street, right? And so anything that we decide to do on Main Street will then be we can see if it's causing a decrease of speeds, and then we can also track to see how long it is, because that sign just automatically takes in data. So that's something that I think would be interesting. And then about the Stillwater, are we planning to put a sign out there just to see what the issue is?
I don't think we've got another one to put.
Yeah.
I think we're capped on signs, I will say we already did the traffic count. To backs, and that corridor is up significantly over the past 15 years. Which traffic's up everywhere over the past 15 years. You gotta be a little careful, who knows what's going on with the bridge project, how does that move your traffic, but. Are more people coming up, I think if you're gonna look at that issue. It's probably gonna get into a bigger thing, you're probably gonna wanna start talking traffic now, 3. Stillwater, 95, Route 2, or you're only 3.
Yeah.
They're in. That's the pattern, is there more, what's been going on in that in the past 15 years? But I think we could start here and get you some good data, and maybe we can look into it, we'll talk to them about getting a sign up there, if we could do it. What it costs, how that would look, and how we would bring it in. I mean, sheer common sense, not factual, but just common sense, there's more vehicles out there, I think it was 15% increase we've seen in that 15 years. That, for every 15%, some of those are they're gonna follow the demographic of the other drivers. People were speeding there before, they're still speeding there now, there's more cars, so there is more speed. And that's just common sense kind of conversation to it.
so I definitely, I'm gonna send you the stuff Sean did.
Yeah.
And it's the stuff, the glaring stuff there, the stuff that really stands out is the number of people that are at unsafe speeds. Just rocketing, down an in-town road, where kids are playing, people trying to walk their dogs, kids are riding their bikes or walking to school. It's the rockets that really stand out, and the data that comes back to us, I think really should focus on.
Did he have time of day too?
I don't know if he had that or not,
Okay.
I mean, but he's got the bell curve,
Yeah.
and that's what really stood out to me is,
Yeah.
we gotta do something. And there's not enough enforcement in the world to stop these, stop people who think Forest Avenue is their, their new corridor. to get into Orono as fast as possible, so.
Yeah.
I think that would be helpful.
And we can get some I think there's a lot, I know the data. But give us, it'll take a little bit of time, but I just don't want staff to take on too much data crunching, we could lose that battle fast.
Yeah.
So I think those three are a good place to start, and
But then we're gonna wanna look at, I think we're also gonna wanna look at, again, what we're doing on education and awareness, and I know there's work that gets done there.
Yeah.
And we have, little micro campaigns, kind of bursts, we have little bursts from time to time. And then we're gonna wanna be able to quantify the investments, so.
yeah, so you've got another one coming. I mean, you got the corridor Route 2 as a project, the big one.
Yeah.
Some years out. You've got the $1 million CDS grant, we're waiting on formal explanation that we followed up again. That was for pedestrian improvements downtown. You've got the fact that you did do the
Westwood.
The blinking Westwood,
Yeah.
and then we just recently learned, well, two things, we just recently learned that they're gonna approve the bridge this summer,
What bridge?
that bridge.
For what?
For maintenance, they're gonna redo the overlay, it's gonna be single lane for times through the summer, and they're gonna, it's due for maintenance. It's a typical maintenance round, but that was brought to the council a few months back. Yeah, remember they told us they're gonna close it for a while,
Yeah.
we're trying to confirm the dates, they were supposed to confirm them, they haven't. We've talked to the schools even been asking about when is it gonna happen.
Alright,
It's starting after school goes out, it'll be done before you main opens
this summer,
this summer.
Yeah.
And then the last one is that we don't know the timeline, but local MDOT wants to upgrade the intersection lights. Traffic lights, the thing that runs them,
In this.
in the Mill
the
Street
state
area.
DOT does?
Yes, they wanna put a new brain academy that runs those lights, they wanna put a new one in and start that process. They see some issues there and they think it's due.
Is it gonna be help with the crosswalks and stuff?
It's gonna be more consistent.
Yeah.
So hopefully, everything that's supposed to work will work the way it's supposed to. That's the goal.
And
There won't be new lights, it will be new
A new what?
brain.
Right, yeah.
And there's a match, so I gotta get that kind of queued up, I didn't wanna bring it in, I didn't know if we were capital planning it, if we're gonna operating budget, so it's gonna be on the agenda, so. For the council, and Kenley's probably gonna be, which way you wanna go, you wanna pay for it now? You wanna put a capital plan and tell them, yes, we're in, but we're not gonna, we don't need the money yet.
Mhm.
So we're working at, I think. Put that on, I don't think I have the report, so I put it in the manager's update for this meeting Monday.
Is there, well, that's interesting, on the bridge, is there any, is there any room to,
No,
you didn't even ask the question
I
yet.
already know what you're gonna ask.
Because we asked the
question already. The first thing we asked the question already. And the answer was, this is maintenance only, that's a different division. And we went to the other division and we said, come on, can we do a little bit?
I'm glad we think
We tried.
I will say we're making progress though, because I think the corridor plan, they're hearing some simple adjustments that staff's identified that can be implemented. And I think when they do the big project, they caught on that we can widen the sidewalks and narrow up the travel lane just a little bit. Make it a lot safer, and they're like, wow, okay, well, maybe, let's see what the project's gonna cost.
Yeah.
So we're moving into that way, but yeah, when we asked them, the reason I was so quick, he's like, that's not what I do. That's not what this project is, we're fixing the pavement, we're fixing curbs, we're not doing that.
We did our part, we took down those signs and say, no bikes on the sidewalk.
So I'm like, just move the line in it,
You know
that's gonna go to engineering,
Yeah,
it's just a maintenance project.
I appreciate you trying.
Yeah, they'll never do this, but I do know, like, I've thought about it, cause we have the sidewalks raised, and what would be safer? Way safer is to drop the sidewalks to the street level and then move a big ass curb that's big all the way in, and then you could have the bikes protected and the pedestrians protected, and then the railing would be higher, but.
And then the area comes to Main Street, it's just scraping.
Yeah, there, and all the semi trucks.
So yeah, yeah.
So I like that a lot, I like, so
Yeah,
stoplight match. Yeah, the bridge is kind of, doesn't feel like we're making any safety gains on the bridge other than, but.
Yeah.
But then the CDS investment, the $1 million piece, and then the Westwood, and I kind of think we should. I think we should ask. I think it's part of the budget, I think we gotta ask the people who are to vote on one, like a survey. Let's pick 4 or 5, like relatively inexpensive projects, like something out at the dump on Forest Avenue, the land, you know, I was there the other day taking a microwave back, taking a microwave. And that hill, you know, that's one of the major, there's like 4 or 5 major like sticking points, right, for like safety areas. We're taking care of the Westwood light crosswalk, that's gonna be a good one, and then, but what are the 3 or 4 or 5 next biggest things we should pick off? And let's do one of them a year, you know, and this, can we prioritize? Again, just what can we do it?
Well, again, you might find somewhere more simple, like, let's,
I think we should put this in the report that we should download. I like this idea because it's something that we can push, like, we just do hopefully one thing a year, because if you do a small step over 10 years, your progress is gonna be huge instead of looking at it like we gotta get it all done right now. And so we find out what the community is really scared about, and then, yeah, I love that idea. It's a great idea. Oh, thank you for putting it out.
Of
And I think
course.
this should be like a priority on top
Yeah.
of this report. Take a survey and start ticking off, you know, if we can, 1 year, or if it's a huge thing, maybe do
Yeah.
for 2 years.
Yeah.
And maybe do the small stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
Okay.
Let's do that.
And when it comes to the community part,
Yeah.
can I add one of those things?
Sure.
And then I'm
Yeah.
bold,
Yes.
but I have something, I like your idea.
Oh, thanks.
I love that idea.
Do you have one like you
Yeah.
wanna
You want
add?
me to just
Yes.
real quickly?
Throw it
Top
out.
5?
So you come down Kelly from the turnpike.
Yeah.
And if somebody sat there, and there was a policeman there one time and observed it. The number of cars that run that light on Kelly to turn a left hand is so significant. I'm through there a lot and I can see it if I go through a couple times a day, I see it at least once. And sometimes as they're tailgaters, so they're coming off of the turnpike, they have speed, they get down there, they're watching the light. And it's yellow and they're still back here. And 1, 2, 3 cars gun it. And then you've got the person coming this way that's already on Route 2 is already ready to go through. And the number of times that light's run is phenomenal.
Yeah.
If we could do what Beasley does of having a camera, don't they have cameras at their one traffic light?
I don't think you're allowed to do
Kane
cameras.
doesn't want cameras.
Man
Yeah,
doesn't have cameras.
There are cameras there that allow that the lights work.
Is that why?
That's how they have the lights.
So
They don't
maybe it
work.
may too be a switching problem, because the switching is wicked fast. Somebody's coming from VZ, and you're sitting in line,
Yeah, it goes
You
green,
can-
it goes red, green, just like
red,
that.
green, and then these cars on Kelly just blow through. So I don't know, that would be an area to watch.
They shouldn't be.
A new brain.
They shouldn't be speeding, because that is actually such an intersection. There's no cars on the other 2 approaches. It's designed to within 5, 10 seconds switch.
Yeah.
So people rushing through that really aren't buying themselves a whole lot more time, but roundabout, it was suggested for Route 2, just so you're aware.
Yeah.
On that area. And that may or may not, but yeah, we can, yeah, that's a good one, we'll put that on.
That's a
No,
really
you see,
interesting.
I was coming back from the gym yesterday, I go down to the gym in Beezy, and I'm sitting there, right, we were talking about.
Yeah.
And people, it's 8 o'clock or whatever it was, and people were trying to, it's like crossing guard's gonna get you in a minute anyway, what's your rush, but. Crossing guard's does a great job, by the way.
Well, it's like there was a sitcom or movie, when I was a kid growing up, I still remember it on red lights, yellow, a guy was learning how to drive in the United States, was watching someone else. And he said, red light meant stop, green light meant go,
Yellow.
yellow light means go real fast.
Go real fast,
It's like, you know, like, it's just
It was the Alien, it was that Alien movie, you remember? I remember that one,
yeah, it's,
yeah.
yeah, you're right,
I don't remember the name of the movie, but
I remember the line.
I have one community safety like pedestrian issue that could be solved, and it may already be solved, they just happen to be walking at the wrong time. But when there is snow on the bridge, the plows plow it onto the sidewalk and you can't walk on the sidewalk on the bridge. And so and I haven't talked, and this may already be the case, the first probably sidewalk to clear would be the bridge sidewalks, because it's super duper unsafe not to be able to be on the sidewalk on the bridge, and that might already be the case. And if it is, I'll let those people know.
So I will just tell you that the sidewalks have a priority, basically.
And
Similar to the school, like getting the kids to school in the morning and clearing that. And it is set up the way, but at the same time, you're not gonna take your sewing machine and run it all the way down here. And then go back to where you gotta go, right? You're gonna find a sidewalk that you're gonna plow another one most of the time. So
so
it's efficiency.
we did have a, we did have a,
Yeah.
yeah, but we did have, so we sent out an announcement right around New Year on sidewalk maintenance.
Yeah.
We had a complaint, there was some sidewalks maintenance during the big storms, they did plow into the sidewalk at that intersection.
Yeah.
We spoke to the owners and their contractor, they're taking care of it, they talked to the town about some stuff that we could do to help. And the timing of it, and then there was some other apartments, and we've done another reminder to the public that says, hey, FYI, sidewalks and roads, it's a finable offense.
Yeah.
Empty your snow into those.
No, I'm
You were talking about
where's the bridge?
when you plow the
When you
actual
travel
road,
the street, it goes onto the sidewalk and then you have like this much, like literally this much snow piled up on the sidewalk on the bridges, and so you can't walk on the sidewalk on the bridges if you wanna. If you're a pedestrian in the winter and you're trying to get from the university to downtown or downtown to the university, then you're literally forced to go into the street or to like
I've seen it.
be really like
Yep.
way up high on the railing and be like trying to get through the snow. It's just, and I figured it may already be the priority yet, cause I haven't talked, but it was just, it's been told to me, it's been asked, and I just wanted to mention it before I forgot. So that would be, like, if that could be like one of the first things cleared.
And we're doing, and again, not even insinuating, I'm doing well, Public Works does an amazing job on how quickly we get the sidewalks.
Yeah.
To the tune where a week ago, there were neighboring communities that still didn't have sidewalks plowed. And had been done since the storm, and we're.
Yeah.
I would say within 24 hours, we hit them, and then we're going back and cleaning up the ones that people put back in.
It's actually
They're doing it.
set the standard so high that
It's-
people, anytime someone's a little bit of slush.
I have never, I lived in northern climes and I have, first of all, I've never had my sidewalk plowed ever. That's never been in Minnesota. They're like, no, you are responsible for your sidewalk, and if you don't get it done in 24 hours, you are fine, because you're responsible. I've never been in a place where the town plows sidewalks. And so I find that it's impressive and amazing to me. And so this is not how most municipals function. It's the responsibility of the owner. It's just part of being part of the community. All right, so let's move on.
Yeah, before we leave this, we're gonna think about 5 seconds, a time of year to do some sort of Orono stops report.
Yeah.
Where we kind of, I don't know, more than once a year probably seems like a lot.
Yeah.
But we probably ought to have some kind of like, April is, you know what I mean, kind of as kids are getting, maybe sometime a year, we do the welcome back thing we did this past year with, when we announce Orono stops, maybe it makes sense to, as people come back from spring break and we're getting ready for, kids to be outside on their bikes and stuff again. Maybe it's time, maybe that's a second opportunity to do the report, where we talk about, we're going into the budget season, so I don't know, but, so we're gonna think about, it makes sense to do like an annual state of the Orono stops report.
Yeah, and this could be our safety. This is where we pump out, this is all the great things we've done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the trick is, we're probably missing the best window.
Alright,
Yeah, I mean, on an annual basis, you're gonna do is probably like a February-ish kind of thing,
Yeah.
that you're in winter.
Yeah.
To have all your summer data, gives us time, we're kicking off budgets, if there's decisions and policies to change.
yes, no, but we'll get it for next
Well,
year.
yeah.
But we can
February.
maybe do we're gonna do some in here.
Yeah.
And then the model will be built for next February.
Perfect.
I think February would be good. Let's put that in there. I'll put that in the.
Right, February, yeah. We give us some back, it's on that.
Okay, so that would be.
Yeah, there we go. Right after our workshop on, as you know, right after our workshop on the more successful days. March 18th.
All right.
So, changing the election.
All right, so we have, we are the Orono Festival Days. I'm not gonna say too much about it because we have a big meeting coming up in the 18th, which is Tuesday from 6 to 6 to.
5 till whenever we're done, I think, 5 to 6:30.
Yeah, was it 5?
It's actually on,
It's on the thing. What does it say?
What do you need?
time is the order?
I just looked it up today,
Public workshop.
I thought it was 6.
Bringing back annual festival days, the meeting is 6 P.M. on Tuesday, March 18th.
Yep.
Right here.
And this is where we wanna have people bring ideas in the community, so if you see this and you're wondering, I really want Orono days, and I really liked when they had the puppy show where everybody dressed up their puppies, which I don't think ever happened, but I would love to see that. Then please come and give us our ideas.
So they got you,
Yeah.
had to make special request to extra Matt, we gave Tony
Yeah.
the picture that's in the Observer.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's on the 18th, all right.
We have to think about who we're gonna invite and what our, we want for our goal from that workshop. Understanding that it is during the spring break, so that was as much my oversight as anybody else's, it was not, so we've gotta think about, who to invite. I've started a spreadsheet, and I'm just gonna start inviting people over this weekend, and if you,
Yeah.
I've shared it with you, and I think I've shared it with staff. So if you have ideas on who else to invite.
Yeah.
Go ahead and invite them,
Yeah.
and then add them to the list.
I've already, and I'll just have to put it on the list, I verbally invited the leader of geezers and sneakers, and he said he would put it, because he does an email every geezers and sneakers, and he said he would put that in, so I'm hoping that some of them will come.
And just put staff.
Yeah,
Not-
invite Zach,
Put that.
we just invited Zach.
Yeah,
No, I was just gonna say, staff does nothing different than what's normal, because we don't wanna create.
no,
Nope,
Opportunities, yeah, no, that's kind of that, yeah,
this
so
is best.
please do more, but we'll continue to post and share.
Jeff Gordon, too.
Yeah.
And his cultural coordinator, there's a woman on our committee that does the cultural work,
oh, perfect.
and she would be
Yeah,
very good.
cultural.
Nancy, what's your last name?
Chris, Prisk, he is a good.
You're gonna have to stay in the whole meeting, what you did. That's a good sign, that's a good meeting, right?
I lived here full time some years back, and I
Yeah.
used to come to all of them. Took a few years off.
And then what is, what do you think our? Meg's gonna be with us, right, Meg and Sala, so what is, you have any thoughts for us in terms of what we oughta? I have to go and listen and learn from people about what happened in the past, and, yeah, I mean, I'm a Freiburg Fair guy, cause I grew up over that part of the state, so I don't remember that, I wasn't here
I
when
would think, yes, a great time for asking.
Yeah.
Our memories are always.
Yeah.
Different than the realities.
Right,
So I mean, nostalgia is nostalgia for a reason, it's, you remember the best things, you forget the troubles and the hardship. So as we're coming into it, I think this hasn't been around for over a decade, right, roughly a decade,
About the year that I.
yeah. So I think it's, you know, as we bring.
oh, causality or?
Well, no, but I think as we bring it forward, that's where I'm kind
Yeah,
of going,
we
you know,
gotta
this
do-
isn't
right.
so much about.
Yeah.
Let's reestablish itself, if we're gonna do this and do it right, reestablish it independently of the nostalgia.
Mhm.
We're doing it for nostalgic reasons, but we're not doing it to recreate what was done in the past. We're gonna do what we need to do today. And that's kind of the way I hope we, because I don't think I think we'll fail. If we try to live up, if somebody will remember the Orono Festival Days from 1983, it was the best one ever, and this was nowhere near as good, and then it was a failure. You know, that, I just think that's the bar you can't really try to set up, so I think as long as we have a good plan, I would keep it simple.
The priorities may be different than how it used to be.
Yeah, I have some like priorities for me that come out of this, and I don't care how they're done. I honestly don't care how they're executed, but they're priorities for me, which I will share when, you know, on that meeting, which is, I wanna see some sort of integration with the students. I wanna see some education that we can give out, or some sort of event that we can educate, like, this is, welcome students, and this is what being Orono residents about, and we want you here, and here's the information. And then.
And the big ones,
Those are, but
when do you want to do this?
end of September.
I think you should talk about it too,
Yeah.
because, you know, I think there's other viewpoints.
I'm just saying.
No, and I think there's other viewpoints out there, and I think that's the, you know, when do we wanna do this, and I think that's a great suggestion, as some others are, but I mean, school is back. We may have talked about wanting to see more, you know, is it near friends and family, that's always a good weekend that they've suggested, we do more near that. For those type of events, don't go anywhere near homecoming. This town's got plenty to do for homecoming, right, I think, the businesses are already packed. I think you need to ask the businesses, what are some of the weekends, once kids are back, that maybe are slower than others, you know. The week that kids come back, the week, probably a bad weekend, because this place is again packed.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, I think those are the ones that we're just trying to look to, and I mean, and as far as the summer, I think there's summer stuff that's starting to evolve, and we're getting better at with engagement. But yeah, summer's a quiet time, you know.
I like that.
I think it used to be in the summer, right? Wasn't it in
No.
like July?
It's been in a couple different times. They had it in June, they had it in summer, July, they had it,
We'll see you next.
we'll see you soon. I mean, it bounced around, I think that had to do with, probably, at that time, probably had to do with schedule of something. Oh, well, this year, this is happening, so we're
And
gonna.
we got, you know, we got the Arts Fest is gonna be in the
Right.
very beginning of summer, right?
Yeah, middle of June.
Hi, how are you? I actually, I'm second just doing some work. But somebody,
This is Diane, she's from the Webster side.
yeah.
She knew we were gonna talk about the noise ordinance again, so.
Yeah, I didn't wanna disturb you guys, and I had my kids and was driving up and everything, but so, hey, how are you? What are you doing here? I'll talk to you later. Did you put out the email? Someone put out an email that said
That we were gonna be talking about.
right, and so I wasn't sure when I talked to the fellow out here, he wasn't sure if it was actually open, so I want to stay out.
Have a seat, we're talking about it right
I
now.
don't, well, you are, all right.
We're only, we only have about 5 minutes left.
Hey, how are you? How's your shoulder? Well, I'll just listen.
All right, we're gonna talk just a little bit about, I think for the noise ordinance. We've had a report, and I think it's good, what we need, for me, what I think would be helpful. And this is something that staff would have to do, so you'll have to tell us whether this is undoable or not, would be either a card, and you can keep going or not, or a flyer that says this is the ordinance, like, but in language, like, you know, quiet time is after 11. The first violation is this, the second violation is this. You have to call 911 if you want somebody to show up right away. It's just like, they need to know that.
Where does that flyer go to?
And then when people ask about it, we can hand them the flyer.
There is no flyer now.
There is no flyer.
Okay, well, no.
This is an idea, this is just an idea, I'm just thinking to wrap this up. I know people can find it on a website, and I think that that's good, and maybe it would be like you can see on there that they can see this.
It's deep in the ordinance.
But I would like to have it so that then people feel empowered. You say, see here, and you hand it to them, and they can walk home with this and be like, okay, next time something happens, this is what's going, you know, these are the escalations. And it either can be on like a 3x5 card or on a sheet of paper. And that's kind of what I think would be easier than it's every time somebody is like, I don't know what to do, this is happening, then we can hand them.
The thing is what I would like is for the students to know
Right.
before they rent in a neighborhood. And I think you need to put the power, it needs to go and the responsibility needs to go on the property owner. So if the property owner, along with all their other, you know, contracts,
Yeah.
could have that card.
Yeah.
That would go
I
to the renter and say, you need to sign this because you, I mean, I don't know if you can do this, but this is just what I'm thinking, if you could do that. And before they sign the paper, they make the decision, they're going to be in a residential neighborhood, rent there. They need to know that 5 times after 11, they need to, you know, respect of course, this isn't really, the traffic and everything is something else, but at least in that home, they need to keep the trash on their property. They need to, you know, put in their trash cans and, be quiet, all those things. The only way that those property owners are gonna do that is if there's some real consequence to if those renters don't abide by those regulations, is what I would think. I mean, right?
Yeah.
And I think we've all, you know, we tried different ways, you know, nobody likes to call the police for this stuff. I mean, I just go over there at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, listen, can you turn on the bass? And I do that every year, and I do that, you know, multiple times. And it all depends, every year, every semester is different. But if the
Is it one of the homes that you go to, or is it one of the,
I go to the happy house, I go, I mean, I've been lucky, I mean, I've gone to all the houses, I mean, all the houses around me, I've gone to 100 North Main, which is not 98 North Main, I go there, they know me, I'll walk in, because they can't hear me, I'll just walk in and be like, hey guys, you know, it's 2 o'clock, you know, my kids can't sleep. And I'll just ask for return time, and they do, I mean, it's the base, I mean, I
it's
am
all about the
right,
base?
it's the base, it's all about.
No
the
trouble.
base.
So,
And I tell them that.
It's great, I just love it, I saw it coming.
And I know, and it is, and they did that too. But it shakes their house, so you can have, I mean, I have 2 fans and white noise always. And I don't open the windows.
Yeah.
But when it wakes my kids, I go over there.
Sure.
So, so the, you know, across from us is 86 and 88, 100 North Main and Hockey House. And if I go over there, I've never had, I mean, years ago, they were not respectful at all. They'd get in our house, I mean, we've had drunk people in our house before, we've had them knocking on the windows, we've had them breaking into our cars, we've had all those things. It's been a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's because I think Officer Lusky was a huge part of this.
It's very nice to hear.
To
Thank you.
have somebody, and I mean, I used to, Josh Ewing, I'd always send him an email too and just say, thanks.
Mhm.
Because they, just knowing that it's not just me, this
Yeah.
like, you know, because they kind of laugh at me. But then when Officer left, he would go over to their property, you know, a day later and be like, hey, listen, you know, let's talk about being respectful in a neighborhood. That would wonders. So that's really all they need, but it'd be nice if we could do it before it gets to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, when I was in college, I wasn't thinking about the neighbors.
Yeah.
But, you know, if somebody like told me, there are families around here, I might have thought more about it. So,
Yeah, I think it's definitely we're gonna talk about potential changes to the ordinance, which is part of the report that we send back to council, and I think that could very well be one of, how do we engage with the property owners who have properties, non-conforming properties in those zones where you live, put in their lease, but then we're also talking about this flyer thing, and as part of we're talking about Orono Festival
Yeah.
Days, and how it's like an invite, you know, when you're invited, you know,
Yeah.
welcome to the neighborhood. And I'm gonna go knock on doors at some point, you know, this around May Day, and I'm gonna hand them out, you know, like, we're gonna do it, I think probably in a coordinated way.
Yeah.
But we'll coordinate with staff to make sure what we have is appropriate, but I think community leaders, you know, need to step up and be part of this.
Yeah.
are you doing Main Day anymore? Like Main Day, whenever it is in March?
I would like to.
We're talking about perhaps,
Yeah.
we're talking about,
They have the
Yeah.
tables and stuff out.
no, we're talking
That's
about,
Yeah, the pump.
No,
That's it.
she's
no,
talking
like,
about the main day of
Yeah,
service.
yeah, I mean, it's great that one year there was service, and I mean, they're at the Y, they're painting walls, they're doing all this stuff. But like Main Day where we are, they're all on rooftops and they're all drinking.
We're gonna talk with staff, is bring us back some thoughts about how we could be a little more visible.
Yeah, I can look, I think it's 24th. I gotta look at the calendar, I don't have.
Yeah, Wednesday, in April,
Was it April?
yeah. So we're thinking about, and it could be a good education opportunity for us too, like kind of dig into, you know, for May Day. Hey, we live, you know, this is where we live, and this is, you know, and I think there's. But I think we need to have.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna hear back from staff, I'm not gonna speak for
Yeah,
the team before we hear back from them, but.
yeah,
We'd love
Yeah,
to see some more visibility.
Yeah.
yeah, I
I
mean,
think
they're gonna party and they're gonna, and that's fine, but I mean, the Main Day is scary, because honestly, they are on high rooftops. And if they fall, they will die, and they're drinking, they have their signs that say
Yeah.
honk and I'll drink, and they
Yeah.
are like four stories down. I mean, they're on these super high roofs.
I think it's adorable when I see that in Old Town, I honk at them, but then I'm kind of like, you know.
It's adorable, in Old Town.
They're not on roofs, the people I walk by, they're maybe in the back of a pickup truck, they're not on roofs.
I could find out from you, if we don't have time now, but. How can I go knock on the doors too. If I see a parent or grandparent helping to move in or move out, I'm next door, introduce myself. How can we empower other neighbors to do that same thing? Because I think that's, from my point of view, is if we don't have that open communication with our neighbors, how do they know?
Well, I mean, I think, this kind of thing is helpful and like we have a Webster side email. So I think we're all talking about it and I think more and more, I've noticed that people are trying to talk to the renters. I do that every year because I know, again, it's like, you know, when I was in a neighborhood and I didn't really realize there were actually people around us. I want people to realize there are people around us, and if I just go over and be like, hey, how are you doing? You know, I live across the street, I just want you to know I have 2 big dogs, they're really annoying, and sometimes they, you know, if my kid doesn't put them on the leash, they'll come over here and I'll just talk to them, and then they're always very nice.
Yeah.
But then if I go back over there at 2 in the morning, they're like, oh. They're a little weird.
Nancy, what's your last name?
Breen,
Breen?
BREEN, 93 North Main Avenue.
Thanks. I think, well, I know we're gonna wrap up, but, I know we talked too about with the fire station and the North Main Fire Station. I think there's an opportunity for a meeting to talk to the Webster neighborhood about giving some feedback on the work the ordinance committee has done. And then give them a glimpse into what the town's talking about doing with the fire station. I'd love to see us have a meeting at the fire station where, you know, Boy Scouts, kind of like double, you know, kind of like a double, couple different topics.
Oh, you're talking about the Boy Scout house?
Yeah.
You're talking about the fire station?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd
Yeah.
like to talk about that.
What's that?
I'd like to talk about that, I'm right next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sell it, I mean, that's moving forward, right?
So the
Yeah.
Boy Scouts have it, but they're gonna sell it, is that?
No, we're gonna
Selling
sell it to the Boy Scouts,
Yeah.
and continue to be the use that you're used to now. So
Yeah,
I guess
okay.
if you don't like it, now's.
We got a few more months, it's.
Few more months, okay,
Yeah.
you already, yeah?
Yeah, well, I mean.
You're getting an update money, but it's not ready yet. There's more
Okay.
work to do. We're working
We,
on it.
we talked
You
to
don't think
Brian,
we'll,
and Mark,
I already talked to him today.
Alright,
so,
yeah, I'm gonna get on them anyway.
Okay, yeah, no, we talked today about it.
yeah, do you know, do they have to do the upgrades? Will they have to do the upgrades?
It's another committee.
Yeah.
But when, before the town does anything officially, you know, I think it's important that we talk to the neighborhood about it in a way that,
Oh, yeah, yeah. So you think you'll have a meeting there at the Boy Scout house?
oh, maybe, I think we should have a meeting there sometime this spring.
Yeah.
Before May Day, ideally, when we talk about stuff.
That'd be great, not on Wednesday, because I'm gone all day.
Wednesday's bad, yeah. Okay,
Be great. Thank you for.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
having a hot
Well, I
flash.
think too, some residents
Oh.
sometimes don't know what they're doing, are we even talking about it, circling back to it, so.
Yeah, I mean,
I
that's,
think it's important to have
yeah,
residents come in and help
yeah,
with the communication.
it's really a great community, thank God for Orono. I mean, the papers that my daughter is writing right now in 10th grade, she couldn't write in Florida, so I love being here. So, it's a great place, so we wanna keep it respectful. And we like the university because it probably would be as aggressive as it is now.
oh, it's, yeah,
yeah,
we'd be, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I don't want to disparage any other community, but we'd be,
Yeah, I hear you.
You heard it,
I heard what you said
community.
earlier.
yeah, I'm old town too, so,
Throw that in.
yeah.
Sure. Honk, honk.
Good save. Alright, anything else for us, or we're 10 minutes over,
Yeah.
Matt?
I will, let's talk, I'll talk with you. I have a few minutes after this, after the meeting, right? Okay, I think that's good.
Was that?
Adjourned?
We adjourned?
Sorry,
Great.
sorry that
Well,
you guys
That was
late.
great.
Thank
Let me,
you.
I need to.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah,
Nice to see you.
fine.